Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ola. Today, this video, I'm going to be talking about two controversial lessons from my late 20s and early 30s. I am in my early 30s now, and you may or may not find this controversial, but I think these have been really useful and valuable for me. And I can imagine how, people may not necessarily agree that this is the best way to live, but it's been, honestly so transformational for me. And so I'll just get into them. So, the first lesson from my late 20s, early 30s is that, and these lessons, there are other things that I've learned, but these are the things that I have really started to practice and, I'm loving them. And the first one is I've learned to stop overstating my place in people's lives. Basically, I observe how people treat me as information on who I am to them, and I act accordingly. I used to treat people based on the value that I placed on them. And then when there was a bit of an imbalance, I just felt deeply resentful about it. But the reality is that people are allowed to treat me however they want to, and they're allowed to place me wherever they want to place me in their life. And whether or not this is right or wrong, like that's a value judgment. They, at the very least, have the freedom to do that. So, but what I do know that is in my control is how I respond. And so these days, I actually make sure that I find myself only in balanced relationships. And it doesn't mean it's always balance. And like, what does balance even mean? We can discuss all that separately, and I can sort of share what that means for me. But what I'm saying is that, these days I find myself in balanced relationships, and I don't do that by treating people worse than I want to treat them. So what I would do in the past is when I found myself in imbalanced relationships, then I would sort of pull back and the kindness and the warmth and the invitations that I had, I would just sort of hold back because I wasn't getting anything. Like I wasn't being invited. Like every single time, you have those relationships where every single time you see each other or you like every time something happens, it's because I've put in a lot of effort. And so in the past, what I would do is I would just like stop putting in effort. But I've stopped doing that as well. Because that's just, it's not true to who I am. I want friends that I don't have to moderate my kindness towards them. I want to surround myself with people who, when I live from a place of generosity, love, and kindness, towards them, there's no imbalance in the relationship. So, and it's not that I'm keeping track of like, but you feel the vibe, right? We can all admit that we know when something is off in a relationship, something is off, like there's an imbalance. Like it's not that you're like taking notes, I invited them and then they never invited me, but I've definitely like been in relationships where I just found myself feeling on like not valued, not like the relationship really was based on how much work I was willing to put into it, and it just doesn't feel good after a while. And so I've stopped overstating my place in people's lives, and it's been so valuable. And please, if you have questions of like what does this actually mean, how do I do this, please put it in the comments. I'll be happy to do like a deeper dive, but I just wanted to like quickly touch on like what these two things are. And then the second one is that I let people miss out on me. So I let people miss out on like the joy, the fullness of who I am. I don't go out of my way to show like who I am and like my true characteristics to people who are not really interested. The first reason is that I don't really need too many people to like me. Like the older I get, it's gotten to the point where it's like there's so many more people that I would be embarrassed if they liked me than not. And so it's like I'm not gonna go out of my way to like get people to like me or to value me anyway, but or to show that I'm likable. But it's not that I am rude or impolite as well. It's that I manage and I control my energy and I bring honest energy into interactions, relationships most of the time. What that means is that I'm not like overly hyped or overly excited in conversations. I'm happy for there to be silence in conversations. I'm happy to meet people as their vibe communicates that they want to be met. Some people give up the vibe, for example, that they just want surface level conversations. And I fully respect that, and I don't ask too many questions. And if that means the conversation has to die like a slow, awkward death, then, so be it. In the past, I would have tried to keep conversations going, trying to come up with topics, trying to ask more questions, when you meet some people and they're just like giving you nothing, and so you just like try to keep it going. I'm just like, I just don't do that anymore. Like, it's okay. Like, if you don't have much to say, that's fine. Like, to me, I also see it as kindness towards them. Like, people are in different places at any point in time, and so if you don't have it, that's completely okay. And I also respect my energy when I don't have the energy. When I don't have the energy to engage, like with hype or with energy, I just respect that. And I try not to, and when I do have the energy, I engage with energy as well, but also not crossing other people's boundaries. And one example, for example, is like, walking into a lift with someone who, has not really made any effort to be kind or even nice in the very least. And, I say hi to them because that's who I am. Like, I'm not going to change myself because someone else is rude or impolite. Like, I'm gonna be who I truly am, what I would do with any other person. But what I don't do is like try to make the 2 minute lift more comfortable for us. Is like, I'm like, oh hi, and I just sort of look away and continue my own thing because like, and this is probably so insignificant for most people, but for some of us that's a big deal where like normally I would be trying to, oh, so like, what's your day been? You know what I mean? I'll be trying to like have these like conversations and trying to keep things going, trying to like, trying to treat that person and meet them at a human level. Like, I feel like we treat each other sometimes in a transactional manner where it's like, oh, you are this person to me. You are the person who is ringing up my order, and that is all that you are. And like, I try to be like, oh hey, like, this is a human being before me. What's your name? Your name is Lucy, how have you been? Like, what's your day been like? And you have these like conversations where the person in front of you who was just ringing up your order suddenly becomes like a person. Like, you're like, oh, you haven't been out in the sun all day. Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, it's really nice and sunny out there, but it's actually a bit hot. Like, you're lucky to be in here because it's it's cold in here because of the AC and things like that. Like, you have a conversation with them, they become a person to you. You become a person to them. Like, I really love doing that, but like sometimes people just don't like want that. People don't have the energy for that, and that is completely fine. One more example is that today I was at an event, and at the end, as the event was coming to an end, I was saying to myself, like, I was like gathering up the courage. I was like, I'm gonna talk to at least one person at this event. And so as soon as it was done, I walked up to the lady who was sitting closest to me, and I was like, hi, how are you? My name is Ola. I was just like, hi, how are you? My name's Ola. And she was like, oh hi, and then like sort of continued doing what she was doing, like, oh hi, like, it was just like very strange and very much like, I don't why are you talking to me? Like, she didn't even, I told her my name, she didn't tell me her name, completely fine. Like, I don't see her like as any, like, there's nothing wrong in what she did. That's where she wants to be at. Completely fine. So I immediately was like, oh, thank you. Like, because she asked a question at the event, I was like, oh, that was a really nice question that you asked at the event. Sorry, that was a really nice question that you just asked, and then I just walked away. Normally you would take that personally, you'd be like, oh, she didn't want. No, completely fine. Like, there's no need. She doesn't need to know. I don't need to show her that like this could have been a really cool conversation or whatever. Like, I don't even know what I'm trying to say here, but like, just like really meeting people where they're at and moving on. So those are the two controversial things that I have learned in my late 20s, early 30s. Please share some controversial lessons that you have too. And these two are just it is. I have so many more, like much more controversial, but I think I'll see how people take this and see what the comments are, and then I can share some more things that I do as well. For example, I have something that I do whenever I'm walking. And if a man is walking towards me, like, and I think some people may know what it is, but like, I stop. Anyway, I'm going to stop there. Let me know if you want a part 2 to this. Thank you so much for watching, and please leave a comment, please like this video, and please subscribe, so that just like keeps me motivated and encouraged to keep making more. Okay, have a lovely day wherever you are.